There have been many seasons in my life where I kept asking myself, what's my path? What's my purpose? What are my gifts? I journal on it. I'd think about it. I'd meditate on it, just so desperate to find my truth. And I didn't realize it, but the problem was that it always started with me. I wanted clarity. I wanted direction. I wanted a breakthrough. But I kept going in circles with myself. What if the most important thing that I learned through this is actually that none of it is mine? When I shoulder the entire weight of trying to figure it all out, my purpose, my prosperity, my impact, it worked for a while. It created breakthroughs that helped me overcome several challenges, hit many milestones throughout my life, throughout my career. But it's been exhausting. It's been very, very lonely. And so small. When it's all on you, the pressure to prove yourself, to produce, to perform, it never goes away. And sometimes the wins can feel incredibly hollow because this foundation that we're going to talk about was completely off. My name is Oliver Manalesa. Before we get into it, I've been a guide for high achievers since 2012, helping them end the war within and unlock peaceful prosperity in their lives and in their business. And if you'd like someone to hold space for you, who can help you reconnect with the path, the purpose, the gifts that God has carved into your soul, it would be an honor for you to book a guidance session using the link below. So for many years I was in real estate. I convinced myself that I was on the right track. I literally felt like I had my future figured out. I felt like one of the lucky ones that this is where I'm headed, building financial freedom, building wealth. But man, little did I know that actually, these were not my dreams, that I was chasing after somebody else's goals. I was borrowing them, but I wore them like they were mine. And, for a little bit, I was starting to see signs of success, but I didn't even realize it beneath the surface. I was suffocating. I actually think about this one client of mine who was building this MLM empire, multi-level marketing. But every day, she kind of felt like a fraud. She had this beautiful vision, this reason why she was building this business. Financial freedom, retire her spouse, financial freedom, for retirement for her parents. But week after week, she wasn't doing anything about it. There was this friction, there was this resistance. And it all came to a head when she realized, oh my gosh, I don't want anything to do with this business. This business doesn't align with who I am. And I think we have to realize that there's such a huge limit when we are just looking at things from this limited scope, this limited vantage point of self. When it comes to self-help, it's like dig deeper, do more, keep fixing, keep solving, keep adding. But all the self-analysis, all of the journaling, all of the constant reflection, for me, it's never been enough. Because it was always me still, holding on to the plan. I was still the one in charge. And if you've ever, felt close to tapping into your purpose, but then it just eluded you, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. It's not that you are lost, it's that you're just relying on a source that is so utterly small, and that is ourselves. I want you to think about this for a second. I'm gonna share two different sets of questions from two different types of energies, and I invite you to get into a heart space, into a soul space, and just feel what vibration it gives off for you. So we'll start off with this first way of perceiving life. What do I want? What's my goal? What's my mission? Then I invite you to feel that, absorb that, and compare it with this. What does God want for me? Where does God need me to be next? Who am I meant to serve? How am I meant to serve with the gifts that God gave me? These are two entirely different paradigms that we are talking about. I've operated from both, but with that second one, things have been shifting in a way that I'm still realizing and still learning to appreciate at this very moment, because there's such a level of surrender in it. There's such a level of peace. There's this, I believe there's a humility in realizing that there's something so much greater and inconceivable at work. Look, what if you are not the owner, but the steward? Like, what if your business is not yours? Your gifts are not yours. Your mission, your purpose, your influence, your brand is not yours. It's God's. It's His. And your job is to manage it. Your job is to be the vessel through which love and beauty and truth and impact can pour through. I wonder what that would change for you in your experience of your life. I know for me, there's a level of pressure that has morphed into peace. There's a level of grinding and hustling that has turned into obedience. There's a level of self-focus that's now more about service. As opposed to really trying to build something just for me. I'm trying to build something with God. I'm trying to build from a very different place. And I think there's a level of honor. There's a level of respect. There's a level of reverence for the work that I get to do now, because it's not about my own feeble ambitions, as important and as they are. For me, for my wife, for the family we want to grow, for my goals in business and things like this. Of course, those things never go away. Those things are all important. But in terms of my willingness to show up, it's just from a different place. I had this client who he had it all. He exited his business. He started investing in other businesses. He had all this free time, all this success. And we were having our session. And there was still this level of meaning that he wasn't able to tap into. There's a level of fulfillment that he wasn't able to tap into. And when we do these check-ins, I invite clients to have this rhythm. I would call it now more of a sacred rhythm where we review the week, the month, to see, how we're doing. And it turns out he had the spirituality section constantly empty. And I'm like, man, no wonder that meaning, fulfillment is missing for you. And this is, I have had, a level of spirituality that I've been growing into over many, many years, through different traditions and different ways that I respect, from the East to Stoicism through plant medicines. And there's so many things that have enriched my life and my perspective from a spiritual perspective, but it never really specifically flowed into my coaching practice. And this was maybe a year and a half ago when we were having this session, and something just came out of me, and I asked him, dude, have you tried praying? Like, it was over 10 years of coaching by that point, and it just came out like lightning, and I was like, whoa, where did that come from? And it really, I believe, it cracked something open for him and for me. My wife, she has been such a sacred example, because she, her relationship with God, her connection with spirit, watching her, it's given me so much permission over the years to really explore my own. And, her faith, it really reminds me of what I don't have to carry on my own. But I'll be honest with you, it was more secondary, if like even maybe further down than secondary, over the years up until recently. It's been through facing such dark and challenging times, happening in so many directions in the last couple of years, that forced me to realize that I need to submit, that I need to surrender. This feeling of falling to my knees, realizing I can't control it all, that it's not up to me. And there's only one thing that I can think of doing when I'm falling on my knees: pray and give it to God. And this is what we're talking about today. This is one of the things that have really revealed itself to me, and it's been so nourishing in such a different way. Not that problems and pains and struggles and none of that disappears, but I have a growing sense that I'm not alone in it. I have a growing sense that something bigger is at work for me. Because it's not my plan, it's God's plan for me. It's not my purpose, it's the purpose that God has carved into my spirit. So my friend, if you are lost and you are trying to will yourself to a place of clarity and direction, maybe it's time to surrender. Maybe it's time to admit to yourself that it's not all about what you want. It's not all about your path and your desires. Maybe it's not all up to you to figure it all out. Maybe it's God's, and it's just yours to be a guardian, be a steward of. So my friend, I ask, what if it's not all about you and your calling, but His calling for your soul on this planet? Time to pray about it. Time to let Him in and let God be a part of the conversation. Time to listen a little bit deeper than you ever have. And if you'd like somebody to hold a space for you to be able to find that level of reconnection, to realign with what God's plan is for you and your gifts, I'd be honored for you to schedule a guidance session with me using the link below. Let's use this sacred space to reconnect with that beauty, that truth, that love, that is already flowing through you. Until next time, be well.